Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right.
Isn't it something to be just watch an American president again that speaks in full sentences, that is competent, that is, a lot of people had observations, but one of them, I loved, Michael Beschloss said, meeting reporters in Geneva, Putin shows none of that smirk that was visible when he emerged with Trump face-to-face in Helsinki. I mean, he looked like a guy who knows what he's up against, right?
Yeah, I mean, the side-by-side photos that you've seen floating around the internet of, Trump in this defeated posture and Biden in this, commanding
Putin.
posture.
Putin.
I think
you said Trump. You meant Putin.
Well, yeah. Well, Trump looked like he was there with somebody who had something over his head.
Yeah.
And Biden looked like he was there with the weight of the American people behind him.
Yeah.
So, world of difference. What just a few months can do.
Yeah. I mean, no, and I just thought, just the way he handled himself through the whole thing. First of all, I love, where's this? Who's our new hero? Ashley Scott from ABC News, right? I just love that. Like, America's back. Here's what she said to Putin's face.
The list of your political opponents who are dead, prisoned, or jailed is long. Alexei Navalny's organization calls for free and fair elections, an end to corruption. But Russia has outlawed that organization, calling it extremist. And you have now prevented anyone who supports him to run for office. So my question is, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Wow.
Oh, my God. He was visibly, flustered. And
his answer was Black Lives Matter. So that tells you all you need to know about Putin and the folks who have been carrying his water for the last 4 years during the Trump years.
Yeah, and then she followed up. She said, you didn't answer my question.
We have that.
Okay,
we have that.
Yeah, here we go.
You didn't answer my question, sir. If all of your political opponents are dead, in prison, poisoned, doesn't that send a message that you do not want a fair political fight?
Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic. Eric Bollert, our friend, tweeted, Kremlin desperately wanted a joint Biden-Putin press conference today. The White House said no way.
Yep.
I mean, this is how you do one of these meetings, right?
Right. Well, and it shows who's in command here. It finally puts Putin back in his place after 4 years of an administration that groveled at his heels and had to be dragged into any kind of accountability with the Russians.
Right. But here, goes back to our conversation, Karl, about, your former party, my dad's former party, the GOP. Clint Watts, FBI, said, over the last 5.5 years, I've repeatedly been asked if Russian active measures work. Over the last 24 hours, I've repeatedly seen U.S. conservative media, pundits, and influencers adopt Putin's positions and at times rooting for Putin over their own President Biden. Yes, it matters. It worked. Yes, it worked. I mean, we see Russian active measures at work on everything, every day, right? They were behind the Stop the Steal. They were trolling. They were pushing January 6th to happen. They're pushing all these, anti-vaccine efforts, right? I mean, it is.
Well, when it comes to Russia, American conservatives went from being a hawk, went from being a hawk to a bunch of toads in just a matter of months, thanks to Donald Trump. And that's where they've firmly been planted ever since.
Right. So 68% of Americans, Karl, including 96% of Democrats, 63% of independents, 41% of Republicans, say they support President Biden's proposed infrastructure plan via a new Monmouth poll just out. Where obviously there's endless frustration. Tell us what you read from the tea leaves from Joe Manchin yesterday, that it appears like there's some movement.
Well, I mean, there's movement. You've also got that bipartisan group of senators who are saying they want to get a deal done. Look, I am like any other progressive. I want a much more climate-focused approach to infrastructure. I want to make sure that we're doing right by our union labor and that we have as robust an infrastructure plan as possible. But I also want something to get done. So I expect the administration will be looking at where it can get the votes. And, until we have a much larger Democratic majority, We either have to point out that Republicans are not willing to play ball and not get a lot done over the course of years, or and wait for more Democrats to be elected, or we have to pressure them as much as we can and then get what we can legislatively done. So we'll see where we end up. Hopefully, this movement will push other people to get in line too.
So the two stories on Manchin yesterday, in a private call that was obtained by The Intercept, Manchin talked to major political donors during a meeting. None of this looks good. Sounds good in the beginning.
Yeah.
A meeting organized by the group No Labels, a big money operation co-founded by Joe Lieberman.
Yeah.
Oh, we have some thoughts on Joe Lieberman still from, I think it's Julie Brown's song, don't we?
Joe Lieberman, douche.
That funnels high net worth donor money to conservative Democrats and moderate Republicans. Interestingly, though, Karl, Manchin seemed open to filibuster reform, a private stance that contradicts his public one. Manchin told the meeting's attendees he needed help getting Republicans to vote in favor of a January 6th commission in order to strip the far left of their best argument against the filibuster. I mean, I guess that goes to saying, well, those of us on the left keep the point we keep making is if we don't have, if that's not bipartisan, what is? An attack on both sides of Congress on January 6th, that obviously Mitch McConnell and the Republicans keep proving our point. Why are you trying to preserve this tradition?
Joe Manchin's proving our point here, right? I mean, he's been playing dumb all this time, and now we know he's heard the message, right? He knows it's a good argument.
Right.
It's a good argument because it's a true argument. This is a perfect example of why we need the filibuster reformed.
Well, and also voting rights, as we keep saying, I mean, obviously he's getting and so this is where we say, Karl, you as a political activist, pressure does work. Not in every instance all the time, but he is getting a lot of pressure because if we don't have voting rights, we have nothing. Our democracy's gone.
Right.
So after extensive pressure from activists, lawmakers, former lawmakers, the NAACP, and other organizations, Manchin's finally revealing what he would be open to in terms of new voting rights legislation. I agree with you on getting more senators, and he doesn't get to dictate everything. But anyway, he would be willing to support Election Day as a federal holiday. He support 15 consecutive days of early voting, mandated in all states automatic voter registration through state departments of motor vehicles. He also encouraged a compromise on voter ID. So did he finally, because at first he didn't meet with the Texas lawmakers, but then I think he did, Travis, who came to the Capitol to obviously talk about the horrible voter suppression law in Texas, right? So anyway, Democrats want to craft a voting bill that makes major changes to campaign finance reform. He's against that because obviously a lot of this we feel like is big money driven for him. Okay, so anyway, but he was caught on tape showing he's willing to alter the filibuster, though. So I'll take that as one silver lining, one crack of light, right?
I mean, it should tell everybody their marching orders for the foreseeable future is to keep pushing and to keep speaking up, because we're not going to be talking about infrastructure and voting rights forever, right? We will get those things done, hopefully, and we will move on to other things on the agenda, and guaranteed we will be back in this conversation talking about how we can get Joe Manchin to do the right thing.
Okay. I just, for some reason, I love, it's probably my self-esteem, but I love reading my hate mail more than my love mail because it's funnier and there's more misspellings.
Yeah.
But Karl Frisch, I mean, these are, and I believe these look like they're old-fashioned, like, letters. They're not even, like, tweets or emails, right?
Oddly enough, they were left on people's doors in plastic bags with bird seeds so they wouldn't blow away, apparently.
Oh.
Could I have some hate letter music for Karl Frisch? This is for you and your whole Fairfax County, Virginia school board members. Your communist, nation-destroying agenda will not stand. Your unholy practices will consume you. Yahweh will smite. Yikes.
Going full Yahweh here.
Fairfax County, Virginia school board members, Jew-inspired communist, queer-loving sex fiends violating the words of the Holy Bible. Yahweh is watching.
You missed it. You missed part. In parentheses, he put King James Version, just in case you were curious.
Oh, sorry.
Just in
Okay,
case.
right.
And I say he. I don't know who did it, but I assume it's a man.
Yeah, just in case you confused it with the good news version of the Bible.
And you helpfully
Right.
posted those because you're a liberal helper, and you said if the Klan is calling our school board a bunch of Jew-inspired communist, queer-loving sex fiends, we must be doing something right. This queer-loving, queer school board member isn't backing down. Happy Pride. Look at you, Karl, poking them with a stick.
Well,
You're not just queer-loving.
Anybody who abuses Times New Roman bold font point 24-point font to the level that this person used it deserves to be held up for ridicule.
Yes, but it was the King James version of
That's
that
right.
font.
Just to be clear, in case you were confused,
Right.
parentheses King James Version.
All right, you queer-loving communist.
And then, by the way, there's also an advertisement for their podcast in the flyer, which I think is just hilarious. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Wait, how did I miss all this? Oh, I'm sorry. It was in the crinkly part at the bottom.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 100% Americanism. Pray for white Americans. That's what it says at the very bottom. Oh, podcast Sundays and Mondays at 8. Okay, you're correct.
Oh,
and the website is LWKKK. 4Ks. 4Ks?
That's right.
That's really racist.
That's the really racist clan?
yeah.
Remarketing for the new millennia, apparently.
The extra K is for crunchy.
Where's my deedly music? Well, yeah, you know what? We ain't gonna just go with 3Ks. Those people are N-word lovers. The 3Ks. We're gonna go 4Ks. KKKKKK.
That was 5.
Yeah.
They're really racist. Don't mess with those guys.
Yeah, extra K. Okay.
So I've appreciated, I put it on Twitter, and a lot of the MOOC and stuff heads out there have been kind enough to say wonderful things about us. So
yes,
always appreciated. And you're doing the right thing. I've heard plenty of your hate mail over the years.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It means you're doing the right thing.
I was confused by it. No one got called a C word, but okay. You're a fine American, Karl. And you go and continue serving on your fine school board there in Fairfax.
All right. Have a
County.
good one.
All right.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you, Karl.
Bye-bye.
46 minutes after the hour. This portion of the show.